Hello and welcome to BattleTech Faction Briefings. Today we are looking at a unit that dates back to the days of the Star League. In addition to that, it was a suggestion from my viewers. Thank you. After doing the research, I can see why so many people like this unit. They fought on after the Ameris Civil War and took on the clans to prove they followed General Kerensky's ideals better than they did. Today, we are looking into the Blue Star Irregulars. The insignia of the Blue Star Irregulars is representative of the medal the team gets their name from. It is a blue steel star on a silver shield. It's not too flashy, but it has a memorable look. Each regiment has their own emblem and color scheme. The 1894th Light Horse has a personal emblem of a galloping pinto horse with blue stars trailing behind. Their aerospace use a Pegasus, and their armored cavalry use a Clydesdale. All members of the 1894th highlight the stars in red as kill markers. Their color is dark blue with silver stripes. The avatars of Painful Death use a Grim Reaper as their personal symbol. Their colors are not noted, but most likely a dark blue with black trim. The 21st Rim Worlders use a phoenix with blue flames and blue stars. They also add a red highlight to their blue stars as kill markers. They have a dark blue paint scheme that almost looks black. Overall, the Blue Star Irregulars have a cool look that would look fairly striking on the tabletop. There is only one short story about the Blue Star Irregulars, otherwise everything else comes from source books. If you want to avoid spoilers, then skip to the time listed. The 1894th Light Horse were established by 2764 as part of the 48th Corps 17th Army of the SLDF. They were stationed in the periphery and fought during the New Vandenberg Uprising in 2765. They continued to fight over the years to take back Terra and end the reign of Stefan Ameris. They survived the conflict, and at least one member of the unit was awarded the Blue Star of Kerensky. Only 37 total soldiers earned this award, a medal given to those who showed uncommon devotion to duty in the face of overwhelming odds in the battle to overthrow Ameris. When the Exodus happened, all 37 soldiers who earned this medal stayed behind to defend the Inner Sphere. The 1894th did not leave with Kerensky during the Exodus either. However, the unit did split up, with many of their soldiers going to the AFFS. Part of them joined with the 8th Striker Regiment to form the 2nd Seti Hussars, while other members of their squad went off to form the 1st Argyle Lancers. As the First Succession War started, Colonel Jeremiah Brighton invited all surviving Blue Star of Kerensky mech warriors to form a unit that would continue to honor the traditions of the SLDF. Of the 37 recipients, 32 took Brighton up on his offer. Over time, they formed a 3-regiment mercenary team and named themselves after their legendary medals. Shortly thereafter, they took up a contract with the Federated Sons. The 1894th Light Horse became the first regiment of the Blue Star Irregulars, and were involved in a raid on the Draconis Combine world of David in 2787. They teamed up with the 14th Avalon Hussars and battled the 3rd Arkhab Legion. They looted several warehouses and headed back to Federated Sons territory. However, the Battle of David was lost on purpose because it was a feint to hide the fact that the Draconis Combine was planning a major assault. Meanwhile, the avatars of Painful Death and 21st Rim World's Regiment were on the Capellan front. The 21st were stationed on Farwell and had to deal with Capellan attacks in 2795. They held their ground, but had no resupply or reinforcements due to the Combine invasion. By 2796, Farwell was taken by the CCAF and Northwind Highlanders. By the end of the war, the 1894th Light Horse were down to 42% effectiveness and stationed on Muskegon. The avatars of Painful Death were down to 20% and stationed on Beton Kaitos, which had been taken from the Capellan Confederation. The 21st was not as bad off, at 40% effective and rebuilding on Clindathu 4, which was recently taken from the Draconis Combine. At the dawn of the Second Succession War, the 1894th were up to 91% effective, and the 21st had fully recovered. However, the Avatars had only rebuilt to 54%, putting them in a much weaker position. In 2841, the 21st went out with the Davian Assault Guards and 33rd Avalon Hussars to Northwind. In the battles, the team took out the 3rd Kearney Highlanders and followed it up by taking out Stuart's Highlanders. Thus, Northwind fell to the Federated Sons. It is possible that the 3 regiments of the Blue Star Irregulars were involved in capturing planets from the Capellan Confederation due to where they are stationed at the end of the war. By the end of the war, the 1894th was beaten down to 20% and stationed on Perkasi. The Avatars weren't much better at 19% while stationed on Akala. The 21st was the best off at 78% and stationed on Galitzin. It is unknown what battles the Blue Star Irregulars faced in the early Third Succession War. In 3025, the 5th Sword of Light attacked Ozawa and destroyed the local militia forces, but the Irregulars kept the Combine from taking the world, and the Sword of Light retreated after the arrival of the 3rd Crucius Lancers in 3026. In 3028, the Irregulars were part of the first wave of attacks against the Capellan Confederation. The invasion of the world of Liao III was led by the 33rd Avalon Hussars. They landed with the Irregulars to no resistance. The 1894th Light Horse landed on the northern continent, where they easily destroyed the defenders. The Avatars of Painful Death battled Warrior House Lusan and won, but lost a battalion of mechs in the process. The 21st Rim Worlds battled the 1st Confederation Reserve Cavalry. They had the advantage until the Prefecture Guards assisted the cavalry. This caused them to retreat, and sadly, during that retreat, they lost Blue Star Commander General Mona Troy, who fell while guarding a retreating trainee lance. The planet was won when Redfield's renegades came in to support the Davian forces. The Blue Star Irregulars and 33rd Avalon Hussars would work together again in the second wave as they easily took the world of Genoa. This would be followed up by an attack on Arboris, which was another quick victory. In 3040, the 1894th were on Rosselgethi, the Avatars were stationed on Tomans, and the 21st were on Fort Lodon. They would garrison these worlds for several years. As the clan invasion began, the Irregulars refused to believe that the clans were descendants of the Exodus fleet. Once they had accepted the truth, the Irregulars demanded to be sent to the front, as they believed the clans were a corruption of Kerensky's values. However, they made it to the front lines just in time for the Truce of Tukiad to be declared. In 3054, the 21st Rimworld Regiment battled Clan Jade Falcon on Fort Lodon. The first move of the Falcons was to capture the unit's jump ships so they could not escape. The battle was fierce, and only 2 companies survived and escaped into the mountains. However, the Falcons did not finish off the unit. They continued their campaign and went to Quarrel. In retaliation, the remaining regiments got permission from Marshal of the Armies, Morgan Hasek Davian, for a counterattack. They attacked Quarrel in 3055. The Irregulars ignored all Falcon demands for a proper bachal. In response, the Falcons brought out their full force of 3 clusters, a warship, and Omni fighters against the Blue Star Irregulars and Hell's Black Aces. Surprisingly, the Jade Falcon fighters were defeated by the combination of Hell's Black Aces and the Blue Star Irregulars. With the assistance of a jump ship ramming attack, the Falcon warship was disabled. However, on Quarrel, the 2nd Regiment of the Blue Star Irregulars was wiped out after being surrounded by 2 clusters of Falcons. Things kept getting worse, so Colonel Alexander Duff Gordon came up with a plan to survive the onslaught. His team captured a Falcon supply depot, and he offered a proper bachal. He demanded the return of all Blue Star bondsmen, all captured Blue Star medals, and safe passage out of clan territory if he won. If he lost, he'd give back the warship and all stolen supplies, as well as surrendering to the Falcons. Star Colonel Patrick Shilu accepted 2 lances of blue stars, took on the Star Colonel and a star of Falcons. The Blue Star Irregulars won the battle, but lost 6 mech warriors in the fight, including Colonel Duff Gordon. However, before he died, Duff Gordon killed Star Colonel Shilu. The Irregulars took their winnings and returned to FedCom territory. They gave a Titan-class dropship to the Black Aces as their share of salvage. The Irregulars renamed the clan warship to Kerensky's Blues and hired the Wolf's Dragoons to repair her. While they were one of the few mercenaries to utilize a warship, they did not have the resources or know-how to maintain it. The freed bondsmen rejoined the survivors of the 21st Rimworld's Regiment. The rebuilding of their unit also included taking in what remained of the Avatars of Painful Death. The rebuilding continued by hiring dispossessed mech warriors, but rebuilding costs were high, and they were forced to take loans from the Federated Commonwealth. Of note, the 2nd Battalion of the 21st was renamed to the Avatars of Painful Death, in hopes of making them their own regiment once again. Sadly, this would never happen. With the separation of the Federated Commonwealth in 3057, Catherine Steiner Davian tried to recruit the Blue Star Irregulars to serve the Lyran Alliance. However, they believed Victor Steiner Davian was the rightful ruler and refused. They would then go to Morgus in the Ark Royal Defense Cordon. During this time, the Blue Star Irregulars started to field Arctic Foxes, a Kellhounds-produced Omnimech. In fact, their forces had a good amount of clan tech, from Omnimechs to retrofitted clan weapons installed into Inner Sphere mechs. This made them quite the threat on the battlefield. Clan Jade Falcon started a series of incursions into Lyran territory during 3064. The Irregulars were called out to assist the Lyran counterattack by garrisoning worlds the Lyrans took back from the Falcons. The battalions of the 1894th garrisoned different worlds, including Roadside and Black Earth. Their biggest assignment during the FedCom Civil War was aiding in the assault on Tharkad in 3066. Upon arriving at Tharkad, their warship was heavily damaged due to the inexperience of the crew. Things got worse in 67 when the 21st was overrun by the 11th Arcturan Guards, but the 1894th counterattacked and made the Arcturan Guards surrender. Due to the damage the unit took, they withdrew from Tharkad. However, Peter Steiner Davian and the Kellhounds helped the Irregulars rebuild. In 3068, the Irregulars were garrisoning Black Earth to recover and rebuild. However, in January 69, Clan Jade Falcon would swoop in for an attack. The Irregulars worked with the Black Earth Planetary Militia to defend the world until reinforcements could arrive. 4 days later, the militia was nearly wiped out, and the Irregulars were down to half strength. That's when they got the bad news. They learned there would be no reinforcements, due to all allies being tied up in other battles. As the battles raged on, there were numerous pleas for the safe evacuation of civilians, but the Falcons refused. This caused the Irregulars to take it upon themselves to save the people of Black Earth. The civilians were to evacuate on 2 Overlord-class dropships, while the Irregulars started a fighting withdrawal to the remaining dropships. Very few of the Irregulars made it off-world. The fleeing flotilla was protected by Kerensky's Blues, who defeated a clan warship, but a second clan warship destroyed most of the escaping ships, including jump ships, before finishing off Kerensky's Blues. When the smoke cleared, only a company's worth of Blue Star Irregulars remained, but the civilians saved included a bus full of children. Afterward, some of the Irregulars retired due to the horrors they had seen, while others decided to join up with other mercenary factions in the Ark Royal Defense Cordon, a tragic end for the descendants of war heroes. There are several mercenary units that came out of the Ameris Civil War. While not all of them kept their Star League values over the centuries, those that did stand out as exemplars of what good people can do in the times of chaos and war. The Blue Star Irregulars fought hard for centuries, but Even with their advanced tech, they fell and will likely never reform. However, their descendants carry the legacy of the unit in whichever mercenary factions they have joined. With nearly 3 centuries of history, there are quite a few pilots to discuss. Jeremiah Brighton, the founder of the unit and first colonel of the 1894th Light Horse, a veteran of the American Civil War and one of the 37 soldiers given the Blue Star of Kerensky. He piloted an SLDF heavy mech. Alexander Duff Gordon, the colonel of the 1894th before and during the Klan invasion era. He survived several encounters with Clan Jade Falcon, but died in 55 when he was shot down after killing Star Colonel Shi Lu. He piloted a Warhammer. Ralden Lawai, a former Kensai Kami instructor for the Draconis Combine that left after the Fourth Succession War. He joined the Irregulars in 3034 and earned his Blue Star in the War of 39. Later, he became colonel of the 1894th at the end of the Klan invasion era and retired before the end of the FedCom Civil War. He likely piloted an advanced heavy mech. Riga Jacilium served with the 21st on Fort Loudon and with the Avatars on Quarrel. In the early 3060s, she would become the commander of the rebuilt 21st. She likely used a heavy Omni-mech. Hank Hatfield McCoy, last colonel of the 21st that was overworked as he tried to keep the unit together. He was best known for being an aggressive mech warrior with strong tactical senses, but his interpersonal skills were lacking. He likely used a heavy brawler. Dante Deadeye Ferguson served with the 1894th in the Battle of Liao, where he became the youngest person to earn the Blue Star at age 19. He was promoted to the command of the 21st 2nd Battalion. He pilots an original SLDF Highlander. Rashida Sugarfoot Hugi. She served with Roman's Barhounds, but transferred over to the 1894th in 3064 after the Barhounds had been disbanded. Her valor saved a group of children in the Black Earth evacuation. She pilots a Nighthawk. Scotty Rosick, a pilot who sought out the Irregulars to be part of the legacy of the SLDF. He developed his skills in hopes of taking down the clans. He pilots a Thunderbolt. The Blue Star Irregulars have a history that goes back to the Star League, and thus has access to more mechs than the usual mercenary unit. Working for the Federated Sons also gave them many AFFS units. Over time, they returned many of their units to original Star League equipment, got new advanced units, or salvaged clan tech. Each regiment was designed for different tactics. The 1894th was based on high-speed precision attacks. Their mechs were so quick, they often outsped the armor units. They used light to heavy mechs and used combined arms tactics with fast armor, aerospace, and VTOLs. The Avatars were close combat specialists, using assault mechs with LRM-based mechs for backup, and light mechs for scouting, along with heavy and assault tanks, artillery, and infantry support. The 21st specialized in sniper and night missions. They used reinforced lances of 6 mechs, including a company of Clan Omni-mechs in 59, as well as a battalion's worth of enhanced inner sphere mechs. Beyond that, they had a battalion of assault armor, mechanized infantry, and battle armor. Of note, early on, a Blue Star medal was required to be in command, but over time, the medals were passed down to those deemed worthy, and not all high-rank officers carried the medals. There is one short story related to the Irregulars called A Different Hope, which was a Battle Corps story and sadly has not been republished. Beyond that, there are plenty of source books covering the Blue Star Irregulars. Some of them only feature basic information about the unit. After I covered the 12th Star Guards, I wanted to explore more units that have history that dates back to the SLDF. The Blue Star Irregulars were requested early on in this series, and they came up a couple more times after that. I'm glad I covered the unit because I found their history engaging, and it made me wish there was more information about the Irregulars. It seems odd to me that there isn't much fiction and there is very little information about the avatars of Painful Death. Hopefully Catalyst doesn't bring back the Blue Star Irregulars, because like Lyndon's company, they will just be a shallow imitation of the original. There are many reasons to paint up a set of Blue Star Irregulars, especially if the mech commander plays the Succession Wars through the FedCom Civil War, as I do. If Catalyst ever made a force pack based on the Irregulars, here are my suggestions, alongside cards for Ralden Lawai, Alexander Duff Gordon, and Rega Jakilium. Thank you for watching, and a big thank you to all the mech warriors who have subscribed. May your weapons stay hot and your reactors stay cool. Next time, we will be looking at one of the Blue Star Irregulars collaborators, Hell's Black Aces. Until then, I'll see you at the tavern.